Ah, the Britannic, the third of the Olympic class. She'll pioneer the waves and she'll be the best of all. And hopefully even she'll bring the White Star Line back to its glory days before the Titanic disaster.
Nope.
In 1914, the third ship of the Olympic class was launched, the Britannic. This ship would actually be the second White Star Liner to earn that name, but with the outbreak of World War I, its construction was cancelled and she sit laid up. She was handed over to the Royal Navy and turned into a hospital ship that would treat casualties of both sides. She was given green lights that would wrap all around the ship to identify her as a hospital ship, and also big crosses on the sides. A lot of Britannic's wartime career is poorly documented and not really that eventful. However, she did serve in the Gallipoli campaign, carrying casualties off and back to Europe. On November 21st, 1916, she was sailing off the island of Kea in Greece when a mine underwater, which had not been discovered, had exploded on the ship. The mine broke many watertight compartments, and it happened while the switches were happening. Hospital ships usually sailed with their bulkheads closed, but in this event, the Britannic was sailing with its bulkheads open to switch between shifts. Despite the captain's orders to not abandon the ship, because he aimed to ground it, people began abandoning the ship in a panic. One lifeboat was drifting dangerously close to the propellers, when all of a sudden, it slammed right into them. Violet Jessup, who was a survivor of the Olympic and the Titanic, was on this lifeboat but survived. Finally, the captain decided to stop the ship and let some lifeboats lower, and then reattempt to ground the ship. Because of the Titanic disaster, the Britannic was fitted out with big crane arms that would swing around and grab lifeboats. In fact, this system could work without anyone on the ship, which is why only 30 people died on the ship. The captain then restarted the engines to attempt to reground the ship. However, because of the flooding, this was almost impossible, and eventually it was decided to completely abandon the Britannic. Eventually, the flooding got to the forward forecastle, and this was the end for the Britannic. Now that the water was on deck, it could get in through the doors, and this only sped up the sinking of the Britannic. And if you look closely, you can visibly see it sinking fast. At this point, everyone was finally off the Britannic, and this was good because it was almost impossible at this point to launch any lifeboats except let them float out. In fact, there were still many lifeboats left on deck that were not used. Eventually, after 55 minutes of fighting, the Britannic finally went under. It was believed for many years that a torpedo struck the ship and that the Germans were responsible for the 30 deaths. But eventually it was found out it was actually just a mine. The legacy of the Britannic lives on in movies like Mystery of the Britannic, which was a helpful source for this video, and great models such as this one. In fact, I actually have a model coming on the way from last Christmas from Titanic Honor and Glory of the RMS Britannic, and they also have the HMHS Britannic. It's being printed out now, according to them, and I'm really excited to receive it. Speaking of Titanic Honor and Glory, credit to them for this awesome real-time syncing animation that I downloaded off of YouTube. Go check them out on YouTube, link in the description. This video is posted on November 21st, 2020, the 104th anniversary of the sinking of the Britannic. This video is in tribute to all those who died.